Captain Vexstar stood on the bridge of his warship, the Crimson Talon. His 4 arms moved across the control panels with practiced ease. The tall alien captain had green skin that looked like armor, and his eyes glowed red in the dim light of the bridge. He had been hunting ships in this part of space for over 20 years. No one had ever escaped him. "Sir, we have found something," said his officer, Krellinax. The younger alien pointed at the big screen in front of them. "It looks like a damaged ship." Vexstar looked at the screen. There, floating in the darkness of space, was a strange vessel. It was much smaller than his ship. Smoke came from one side, and the lights on it flickered on and off. The ship looked broken and helpless. "What kind of ship is it?" Vexstar asked. "The computer says it is from a species called humans," Krellinax replied. "We have never seen them before. They are new to space travel." Vexstar smiled, showing his sharp teeth. New species were always easy targets. They never knew how to fight properly in space. They had weak weapons and slow ships. This would be another easy victory for his crew. "How many life forms are on the ship?" he asked. "The scanner shows about 40 beings, sir. They seem to be alive, but not moving much." Perfect, thought Vexstar. The humans were probably scared and hiding. Most species did that when they saw the Crimson Talon. His ship was 3 times bigger than the human vessel, and it had enough weapons to destroy a small moon. "Prepare the boarding teams," Vexstar ordered. "We will take their ship and everything valuable on it. If any humans try to fight, kill them quickly." 20 of his best warriors got ready in the boarding bay. Each warrior was 7 feet tall and had 4 strong arms. Their skin was tough like metal, and they carried energy weapons that could cut through steel. They had done this hundreds of times before. Meanwhile, on the human ship called the UES Defender, Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison stood calmly on his bridge. He was a man in his 40s with short brown hair and steady blue eyes. He had been a soldier for most of his life. "They are taking the bait," said Lisa Parker, who was sitting at the communication station. She was a young woman with blonde hair tied back in a tight ponytail. "The alien ship is moving closer." Morrison nodded. Everything was going according to plan. The damage to their ship was fake. The smoke was coming from special machines they had set up. The flickering lights were controlled by their computer. Even the way they were floating in space was carefully planned. "How long until they reach us?" Morrison asked. "About 10 minutes, sir," replied Sam Rodriguez from his position at the weapons station. He was a big man with dark hair and strong hands. He had been Morrison's friend for many years. Morrison pressed a button on his chair. His voice went to all parts of the ship. "All crew members, this is the captain. The aliens are coming. Remember what we practiced. Stay hidden until I give the signal. Do not attack until I say so. Let them think they have won." Amy Chun, who was hiding in the engine room, heard the message. She was small and quick, with black hair and smart eyes. She had studied alien technology for years. She knew exactly how their weapons worked and how to stop them. Danny Wright was crouched in a dark corner near the main hallway. He was thin but strong, with light brown hair and scars on his hands from many battles. He had fought in wars on 3 different planets. He knew how to move without making noise. Nicole Adams was near the bottom of the ship, close to where the aliens would enter. She had red hair and green eyes. She was an expert with machines and computers. She could fix anything or break anything, depending on what was needed. The Crimson Talon moved closer to the Defender. Vexstar watched the human ship on his screen. It looked so weak and helpless. He could destroy it with 1 shot from his main weapon, but that would be wasteful. Better to take everything valuable first. "Sir, we are in position," reported his pilot. "Good. Send the boarding craft," Vexstar commanded. a small ship left the Crimson Talon and flew toward the defender. Inside were 20 alien warriors, all armed and ready for battle. They had fought many different species before. Some tried to run, some tried to hide, and some tried to fight. It never mattered. The result was always the same. The boarding craft attached itself to the side of the human ship with a loud metal sound. The aliens used their cutting tools to make a hole in the hull. Bright sparks flew as the metal melted away. Morrison felt the ship shake as the aliens cut through. "They are inside," he said quietly to his crew through his communicator. "Stay calm. Wait for my signal." The first alien warrior stepped through the hole into the defender. He looked around with his red eyes, searching for humans to capture or kill. Behind him came the other warriors, moving in perfect formation like they had done many times before. But the hallways were empty. There were no scared humans running around. No one was shooting at them. There were no sounds of panic or fear, just silence. "Strange," said the lead warrior into his communication device. "Where are all the humans?" "On the bridge of the Crimson." Talon, Vextar frowned. Usually by now he would hear the sounds of battle or the screams of the conquered. But his warriors reported only empty corridors and silent rooms. "Keep searching," he ordered. "They must be hiding somewhere. Find them and bring them to me." The alien warriors spread out through the ship, moving in small groups. They checked every room, every closet, every hiding place they could find. But there were no humans anywhere. What they did not know was that the humans were watching them. From hidden cameras, from secret passages, from places the aliens did not even know existed. The humans saw everything the aliens were doing. Morrison smiled as he watched the aliens on his screen. They were doing exactly what he had expected. They were splitting up into small groups. They were moving away from their entry point. They were going deeper into the ship where the humans could control everything around them. "Phase 1 complete," he whispered to his crew. "Let the games begin." The alien warriors moved through the empty hallways of the defender like ghosts. Their heavy boots made soft clicking sounds on the metal floor. Each warrior carried a weapon that glowed with blue energy. They had used these weapons to kill thousands of beings from dozens of different worlds. Warrior Ziegtal led the first group down the main corridor. He was young for his species, only 50 years old, but he had already been on 30 boarding missions. He had never failed to capture a ship before. "This is too easy," he whispered to his partner Velmer. "Where are all the humans?" Velmer, who was older and more experienced, kept his weapon ready. "Maybe they are dead already." The ship looked badly damaged. But Ziegtal was not convinced. Something felt wrong. In all his battles, he had never seen a ship so quiet. Even dead ships made noise. Computers hummed, air moved through vents, and lights buzzed. But this ship was too silent. What Ziegtal did not know was that Sam Rodriguez was watching him from a hidden camera just above his head. Rodriguez sat in a secret room behind the bridge, looking at 20 different screens. Each screen showed a different part of the ship. He could see every alien warrior and exactly where they were going. "Group 1 is moving toward the engine room," Rodriguez whispered into his communicator. "Group 2 is heading for the crew quarters. Group 3 is going to the cargo bay." Morrison heard the report and smiled. The aliens were doing exactly what human military experts had predicted they would do. They were following standard boarding procedures, just like it said in the alien military books that Earth spies had stolen years ago. "Amy, are you ready in the engine room?" Morrison asked quietly. In the engine room, Amy Chun pressed herself against the wall behind a large machine. She could hear the aliens coming closer. Their footsteps echoed in the metal corridors. Her heart was beating fast, but her hands were steady. "Ready, sir," she whispered back. Chun had spent 2 years studying Zephyrian technology. She knew their weapons needed special energy cells to work. She knew their armor had weak spots. Most importantly, she knew they had never fought humans before, so they did not know what to expect. The first alien warrior entered the engine room. Ziegtal looked around at all the machines and computers. Everything seemed normal for a damaged ship. The engines were quiet, and some of the lights were broken. Check behind those machines, he ordered his partner Dot as Velmer walked toward the back of the room. Chun moved like a shadow. She had learned how to move silently from her grandfather, who had been a hunter. She slipped behind Velmer without making any sound. The alien never saw her coming. Chun used a small device to touch the back of Velmer's neck, right where his armor had a gap. The device sent a strong electric shock through his body. The alien warrior dropped to the floor without making a sound. Ziegtal heard a soft thud and turned around. Velmer? He called, but Velmer was gone. There was no sign of him anywhere. Command, this is Ziegtal, he spoke into his communicator. Velmer has disappeared. On the bridge of the Crimson Talon, Vextar heard the report with surprise. What do you mean, disappeared? He was here a moment ago, and now he is gone. Ziegtal replied, there is no sign of a fight. Vextar frowned. This was not normal. Warriors did not just disappear. Keep searching. He probably fell into a hole or got trapped somewhere. But 10 minutes later, another warrior disappeared. Then another. Each time, there was no sound of fighting, no call for help, no sign of what had happened to them. Denny Wright was responsible for the second disappearance. He had crawled through the air vents above the crew quarters, moving as quietly as a cat. When alien warrior Kexdor walked under him, Wright dropped down behind him like a spider. Wright had fought in jungle wars where silence meant survival. He knew exactly how to grab an enemy without making noise. His arm went around Kexdor's throat, cutting off his air. The alien struggled for a few seconds, then went to sleep. Wright dragged the unconscious warrior into a storage room and locked the door. Then he disappeared back into the vents before anyone could find him. Nicole Adams was in charge of the third disappearance. She was hiding in the cargo bay when 2 alien warriors came to search it. The cargo bay was full of large boxes and containers, perfect for hiding. Adams waited until the warriors separated to search different parts of the bay. When one of them, Zelenox, walked past her hiding spot, she used a tool that made a high-pitched sound. The sound was too high for humans to hear, but it hurt alien ears very badly. Zelenox grabbed his head in pain and stumbled. Adams quickly used her electric device on him, and he fell unconscious. She dragged him behind some boxes where no one would find him. By now, half of the alien boarding party was gone. The remaining warriors were getting scared. They had never faced an enemy like this before. How could humans make their friends disappear without any sound or sign of battle? All warriors, fall back to the entry point, Vextar ordered from his ship. Something is wrong here, but it was too late. The aliens were spread out all over the human ship, and they did not know the layout as well as the humans did. When they tried to return to their boarding craft, they found that the hallways had changed. Lisa Parker was controlling the ship's computer system from the bridge. With a few button presses, she could close doors, turn off lights, and change the airflow. In different parts of the ship, she made some hallways dark and others filled with harmless but confusing gas. The humans are controlling their ship, one warrior reported. The doors will not open. Use your weapons to blast through them, Vextar ordered. But when the aliens tried to use their energy weapons, nothing happened. The weapons would not fire. Amy Chun smiled from her hiding place. While the aliens were searching the ship, she had been busy with a special device. The device sent out invisible waves that drained the power from alien weapons. It was technology that humans had developed after studying captured Zephyrian equipment. Now the alien warriors were trapped on a human ship with no working weapons, no way to contact their ship, and enemies they could not see or fight. Kelvox, one of the last remaining aliens, spoke into his communicator with a shaking voice. "Captain, we need help. Our weapons are not working, and our warriors keep disappearing. I think the humans are still alive." Vextar could not believe what he was hearing. Impossible. Humans are a primitive species. They cannot defeat trained Zephyrian warriors. But the evidence was clear. His boarding party was being destroyed by an enemy he could not see or understand. For the first time in his military career, Captain Vextar began to feel something he had never felt before: fear. "All remaining warriors, find a secure location and wait for rescue," he ordered. "I am sending another boarding party." But Morrison had been listening to their communications. Human technology could break Zephyrian codes easily. He knew exactly what the alien captain was planning. "Not today," Morrison said quietly. "Lisa, jam their communications. Rodriguez, prepare for Phase 2. It is time to show these aliens what humans can really do." The hunt was about to become much more interesting. The 5 remaining alien warriors huddled together in what they thought was a safe room. They had found a storage area with only one entrance, and they blocked the door with heavy boxes. Their weapons still would not work, and they had not heard from their ship in over an hour. Warrior Hexstar, the oldest of the group, tried to keep his team calm. "Stay quiet and watch the door," he whispered. "Captain Vextar will send help soon." But help was not coming. On the alien ship Crimson Talon, Vextar was facing his own problems. His second boarding party could not launch because something was wrong with their boarding craft. The engines would not start, and all the computer systems were acting strange. "Engineering, what is the problem?" Vextar demanded. "Sir, someone has damaged our boarding systems," replied his chief engineer. "It looks like sabotage, but that is impossible. No one has been near our ship." What Vextar did not know was that Nicole Adams had left the Defender before the aliens, even boarded it. While everyone was watching the alien ship approach, she had used a small, silent spacecraft to fly over to the Crimson Talon. Human stealth technology was much better than the aliens. Realized Adams had spent 30 minutes inside the alien ship, moving through their ventilation system like a ghost. She planted small devices that would slowly break down their computer systems. She also put sleeping gas in their air supply, but only a tiny amount that would make the crew tired and slow to think. Now she was back on the Defender, watching the aliens on her computer screen. "Their boarding craft are disabled," she reported to Morrison. "They cannot send help to their friends," Morrison nodded. It was time for the next part of their plan. "Rodriguez, Danny, Amy, Lisa, it is time to make our guests more comfortable." The humans had been hiding for over 2 hours, but now they began to move through their own ship like hunters. They knew every pipe, every wire, and every secret passage. The ship was their home, and they had prepared it well for this day. Lisa Parker sat at her computer station and began to play games with the alien minds. She made sounds come from the walls around them. Sometimes it sounded like footsteps, sometimes like whispers, sometimes like metal breaking. The sounds came from different directions, making the aliens turn their heads and point their useless weapons at empty air. "Do you hear that?" whispered alien warrior Deximer. "Hear what?" replied Hexstar, but even as he spoke, he heard it too. Soft sounds coming from inside the walls around them. The sounds were not real. Lisa was using the ship's speaker system to make the noises, but the aliens did not know this. They thought humans were crawling through the walls around them, getting ready to attack. Amy Chun was doing something even more clever. She was using the ship's air system to pump different smells into the room where the aliens were hiding. First, she sent the smell of human food cooking, then the smell of gunpowder from old human weapons, then the smell of metal being sharpened. The aliens could smell all of this, and it made them think that humans were preparing for battle very close to them. But there were no humans nearby at all. Amy was 3 levels away, sitting safely at her computer. Danny Wright was moving through the spaces between the walls, but not to attack. He was placing small cameras and listening devices so the humans could watch and hear everything the aliens were doing. Every word they spoke, every move they made was being recorded. "They are scared," Wright reported to Morrison. "I can hear them talking about giving up." But Morrison was not ready to end this yet. He wanted the aliens to understand exactly what kind of species they had tried to attack. Keep the pressure on them. I want them to remember this day for the rest of their lives. Sam Rodriguez began the next part of the plan. He used the ship's gravity system to make the floor under the aliens shake and move. Sometimes the gravity would get stronger, making them feel heavy and tired. Sometimes it would get weaker, making them feel like they were floating. The aliens had never experienced anything like this. On their own ships, gravity was always the same. They did not know that human ships could change gravity in different rooms. What is happening to us? Dexamer asked as he felt his body getting heavier. I do not know, Hexstar replied. His voice sounded tired and scared. Nothing makes sense on this ship. Nicole Adams was working on the most important part of the plan. While the other humans kept the remaining aliens busy, she was taking apart their boarding craft, piece by piece. She wanted to learn everything about their technology, so humans could build better defenses. Their weapons are more advanced than we thought, she reported to Morrison. But they have a weakness. If we can build devices that block their energy source, their weapons become useless. Good work, Morrison replied. How much longer do you need? Give me another hour, and I will have everything we need. Meanwhile, the aliens in the storage room were getting more desperate. They had not eaten or drunk anything for hours. The strange sounds and smells were making them feel sick and confused. The changing gravity made it hard to think clearly. Maybe we should surrender, suggested young warrior Ziegtal, who was the only survivor from his original group. Surrender to humans? Hexstar said with anger. We are Zephyrian warriors. We do not surrender to primitive species. But even as he said this, Hexstar was not sure he believed it anymore. These humans did not seem primitive at all. They seemed to know exactly what they were doing. Lisa Parker decided it was time to talk to the aliens directly. She used the ship's communication system to speak to them in their own language. Humans had been studying alien languages for years, preparing for this moment. Zephyrian warriors, her voice came from speakers in the ceiling above them. This is the human ship Defender. You are now prisoners of the United Earthspace Navy. The aliens looked up at the ceiling in shock. A human was speaking their language perfectly. We know who you are, Lisa continued. We know about your ship, the Crimson Talon. We know about Captain Vex Star. We know about the Zephyrian Confederacy and all the species you have conquered. Hexstar found his voice. How do you know these things? You are a new species. Lisa laughed, and the sound echoed around the room. New to space travel? Yes. New to war? No. Humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years. We have studied every form of battle that exists, including yours. Impossible, Hexstar said, but his voice was weak. Your boarding manual, written by General Kexival in the year 2387 of your calendar, says that when boarding an enemy ship, warriors should spread out in groups of 3 or 4 to cover more area quickly, Lisa said. We have read your manual. We know all your tactics. The aliens stared at each other in disbelief. How could humans have their military manuals? We also know, Lisa continued, that Zephyrian warriors are taught never to surrender. But you have never fought humans before. We do things differently. On the bridge, Morrison smiled as he listened to Lisa talk to the aliens. Everything was going perfectly. The aliens were confused, scared, and trapped. Their ship could not help them. Their weapons did not work. And now they knew that humans had been preparing for this meeting for a long time. Sir, Rodriguez said quietly, Nicole reports that she has finished studying their technology. She is ready for the final phase. Morrison nodded. It was time to end this game and show the aliens the real power of humanity. Attention, Zephyrian. Warriors, he said into the communicator. This is Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison, captain of this vessel. I am coming to meet with you. It is time we had a proper conversation about the future. The door to the storage room opened with a soft hiss. The 5 alien warriors raised their broken weapons, even though they knew the weapons would not fire. They had been trapped for hours, listening to strange sounds and feeling the ship move around them in impossible ways. Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison walked through the door alone. He was not wearing armor or carrying any visible weapons. He looked calm and relaxed, like he was visiting friends instead of facing enemy soldiers who were trained to kill. Behind Morrison came Sam Rodriguez and Amy Chun. They also looked calm and confident. To the aliens, this was the most frightening thing of all. These humans were not afraid. Greetings, Morrison said in perfect Zephyrian language. I am Jake Morrison, captain of this ship. You are Hexstar, Deximer, Zeektal, Kelvox, and Vendel. I know all your names and your ranks. The aliens stared at him in shock. How could he know so much about them? Sit down, please, Morrison said, pointing to some boxes. We need to talk. We do not take orders from primitive humans, Hexstar said, but his voice shook as he spoke. Morrison smiled. Primitive? Let me tell you what has happened today. Your boarding party of 20 warriors was defeated by 5 humans without a single shot being fired. Your weapons were disabled by technology you do not understand. Your ship cannot send help because we have damaged your systems. And right now, your Captain Vextar is probably wondering how a simple human ship became his worst nightmare. Amy Chun stepped forward and placed a small device on one of the boxes. The device projected a 3-dimensional image in the air above it. The image showed the inside of the Crimson Talon. This is your ship right now, Chun said. Your crew is alive but sleeping. We put a harmless gas in your air system that makes people tired. Your engines are working, but your weapons are offline. Your communication system is damaged, but we can fix it whenever we want to. The aliens looked at the image of their own ship with disbelief. They were seeing their own crew members sleeping at their stations. How is this possible? Deximer whispered. Rodriguez answered. While you were boarding our ship, one of our team members was boarding yours. Alien ships are big and powerful, but they are not designed to stop small, quiet infiltrators who know what they are doing. Morrison sat down on a box across from the aliens. Let me explain something to you. Earth, our home world, has been a battlefield for thousands of years. Humans have fought each other with every weapon you can imagine. We have fought wars in jungles, in deserts, in cities, in mountains, and in the ocean. We have fought wars with swords, with guns, with bombs, and with our bare hands. He paused to let his words sink in. We have studied every form of warfare that exists. We know about surprise attacks, psychological warfare, guerrilla tactics, siege warfare, and naval combat. We have read the writings of every great military leader in our history. Sun Tzu, Alexander the Great, Napoleon Bonaparte, and hundreds of others. Zeektal, who was the youngest alien, asked, But you have never been to space before. How could you know about space warfare? Morrison smiled. That is where you are wrong. Humans have been preparing for space warfare for over a century. We knew that someday we would meet other species, and some of them might not be friendly. So we studied, we learned, we prepared. Chun activated another part of her device. Now the image showed dozens of human ships scattered throughout the local star systems. Every one of these ships is like the Defender, she said. They look damaged or weak, but they are actually traps. For the past 5 years, we have been setting these traps throughout our space, waiting for someone like you to find us. You see, Morrison continued, humans learned something very important from our history. The best way to win a war is to make the enemy defeat themselves. We did not attack your ship with weapons. We made you attack us, and then we used your own tactics against you. Hexstar finally sat down on one of the boxes. He looked tired and defeated. What do you want from us? Information, Rodriguez said. We want to know about the Zephyrian Confederacy. How many species have you conquered? How many ships do you have? What are your plans for this part of space? We will never tell you anything, Hexstar said, but his voice was weak. Morrison nodded. I understand. Loyalty to your people is important, but let me show you something else. Chun changed the image again. Now it showed a star map with hundreds of red dots scattered across it. These are all the species that your Confederacy has conquered in the past 300 years, Morrison explained. We know about the Altarians, who were peaceful traders until you enslaved them. We know about the Centauri colonies that you destroyed. We know about the Rigelian homeworld that you turned into a mining planet. The aliens stared at the map. It showed information that was supposed to be secret. How do you know all this? Kelvox asked. Because some of those species escaped before you conquered them completely, Amy Chun replied. They came to Earth and told us their stories. They warned us that the Zephyrian Confederacy was coming, and they helped us prepare. Morrison stood up and walked closer to the aliens. Here is what you need to understand. Humans do not want to conquer anyone. We do not want your planets or your resources. We just want to be left alone to live our lives in peace. But, Rodriguez added, we will not allow ourselves to be conquered either. And we will not allow other species to be enslaved if we can help it. Morrison activated his communicator. Nicole, are you ready? Nicole Adams' voice came through clearly. Ready, sir. I have finished my analysis of their technology. Show them, Morrison said. The image above Chun's device changed one more time. Now it showed detailed blueprints of Zephyrian weapons, ships, and armor. Every weakness, every flaw, every way to defeat their technology was clearly marked. In the past 6 hours, Adams said through the communicator, I have learned everything there is to know about your military technology. I know how to build weapons that can destroy your ships. I know how to make armor that can stop your energy weapons. Most importantly, I know how to teach other species to defend themselves against you. Morrison looked directly at Hexstar. Your people have conquered 47 species because you had better technology, and they did not know how to fight back. But that time is over now. What are you saying? Hexstar asked. I am saying that humans are going to share our knowledge with every species in this part of the galaxy, Morrison replied. We are going to teach them how to defend themselves. We are going to give them weapons that can stop your ships. The age of easy conquest is finished. Deximer shook his head. The Confederacy will never allow this. They will send their entire fleet to destroy you. Morrison smiled again, but this time his smile was cold and dangerous. Let them try. Do you know what happens when you attack a species that has been fighting wars for thousands of years? You learn very quickly why most species prefer peace. Rodriguez stepped forward. Your Captain Vextar is about to learn something that your people have never experienced before. He is about to learn what it feels like to be outmatched, outhought, and completely defeated by an enemy he underestimated. The aliens sat in stunned silence. Everything they had believed about their superiority, their military might, and their destined conquest of the galaxy was crumbling around them. Morrison looked at his watch. "It is time to contact your ship. I think Captain Vexstar is ready to hear what we have to say." On the bridge of the Crimson Talon, Captain Vexstar paced back and forth like a caged animal. His crew was slowly waking up from the sleeping gas, but they were confused and slow to think. His boarding party had been silent for hours. His weapons systems were not working properly, and his engineers could not explain why. Suddenly, the main communication screen flickered to life. The face of Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison appeared, looking calm and confident. "Captain Vexstar, Morrison," said in perfect Zephyrian language, "I believe you have been waiting to hear from your boarding party." Vexstar rushed to his command chair. "What have you done with my warriors?" "They are safe and unharmed," Morrison replied. "They are my guests. We have been having a very interesting conversation about the future of this region of space." The screen split to show the 5 surviving alien warriors sitting in the storage room. They looked tired and defeated, but they were clearly alive and unhurt. "Release them immediately," Vexstar demanded, "and surrender your ship. You are greatly outnumbered." Morrison laughed, and the sound echoed across the bridge of the alien ship. "Captain, let me explain your situation. Your weapons are offline because we have been jamming your power systems. Your boarding craft cannot launch because we have damaged their engines. Half your crew is still recovering from sleeping gas that we pumped into your air supply. And your warriors have learned today that Zephyrian military tactics do not work against humans." Vexstar's 4 hands clenched into fists. "Impossible. You are a primitive species with no space combat experience." "You keep using that word, primitive," Morrison said. "But I do not think it means what you think it means. Let me show you something." The screen changed to show a view of space around both ships. But now there were more ships visible. Dozens of them, all appearing as if they had just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They surrounded the Crimson Talon in a perfect sphere formation. "These are ships of the United Earth Space Navy," Morrison explained. "They have been waiting in this system for your arrival. Every one of them is crewed by humans who have spent years studying Zephyrian military tactics." Vexstar stared at the screen in disbelief. "This is impossible. Our intelligence reports said humans only had a few primitive ships." "Your intelligence was wrong," Morrison replied. "We wanted you to think we were weak and helpless. It made you careless and confident. It made you easy to trap." Amy Chun appeared on the screen next to Morrison. She was holding a data pad with technical information displayed on it. "Captain Vexstar," she said, "I have spent the last few hours studying your technology. Your ships are impressive, but they have several critical weaknesses. Your power systems can be disrupted by electromagnetic pulses. Your armor is vulnerable to kinetic weapons traveling at high velocity. Your computer systems can be hacked using quantum encryption breaking techniques." She paused to let this information sink in. "More importantly, your military doctrine is based on fighting species that do not understand warfare. You rely on superior technology and overwhelming force to win battles quickly. But humans understand warfare better than any species you have ever encountered." Sam Rodriguez joined them on the screen. "Captain, your people have conquered 47 species in 300 years. That is impressive. But humans have fought over 10,000 wars in the same time period. We have been fighting each other, learning from each defeat, and perfecting our tactics for centuries before we ever left our home planet." Vexstar felt something he had never experienced before in his long military career. Complete and total defeat without a single shot being fired. His superior technology meant nothing. His larger ship meant nothing. His trained warriors meant nothing against an enemy that understood war itself. "What do you want?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Morrison leaned forward on the screen. "We want you to take a message back to the Zephyrian Confederacy. Tell them that humans have arrived in this part of the galaxy. Tell them that we know about all the species they have conquered. Tell them that the time of easy victories is over." Nicole Adams appeared on screen, holding up a small device. "This contains complete technical specifications for building weapons and defenses that can stop Zephyrian ships. We are going to give this information to every species in this region of space." "You cannot do that," Vextar protested. "The Confederacy will never allow it." "The Confederacy will not have a choice," Morrison replied. "Captain, let me explain something to you about human history. We have always supported the underdog. We have always helped the weak fight against the strong. We have always stood up to bullies." Lisa Parker joined the group on screen. "We have already made contact with survivors from the species you conquered. The Altarians, the Centauri, the Rigelians, and dozens of others. They are building fleets with human technology and human tactical advice." Morrison stood up. "In 6 months, Captain, your Confederacy will face something it has never faced before. Organized resistance from species that know how to fight back. Ships that can match your technology. Tactics that can defeat your strategies. This is war," Vextar said angrily. "No," Morrison replied calmly. "This is justice. War is what your people have been doing for 300 years. What we are offering is a chance for peace." Danny Wright appeared on the screen, carrying a large case. "Captain, we are going to return your warriors to you. We are going to repair your ship. We are going to let you go back to your Confederacy." Unharmed, Vextar was confused. "Why would you do that?" "Because we want your leaders to hear this message," Morrison explained. "We want them to understand exactly what they are facing if they choose to continue their path of conquest." Morrison activated another control, and the image changed to show a map of human space. It was much larger than the aliens had thought, with hundreds of star systems marked in blue. "This is human territory," Morrison said. "We have been expanding quietly for decades, building colonies and defense stations that your scouts never detected. We have been preparing for this day since we first learned that aggressive species existed in the galaxy." Amy Chun stepped forward. "But we are not conquerors. Captain, we do not want your planets or your people. We want to trade, to learn, to share knowledge with peaceful species. The choice of war or peace belongs to your Confederacy." Rodriguez activated his communicator. "All ships, this is the Defender. Begin escort formation. We are returning our guests to their ship." On the main screen, Vextar could see the human ships moving into a protective formation around the Crimson Talon. They were not threatening or aggressive. They were simply making sure he could return home safely. "Captain Vextar," Morrison said, "your warriors will be returned to you in 1 hour. Your ship will be fully repaired in 2 hours. You will be given safe passage to the edge of this star system." "And then?" Vextar asked. "Then you go home and tell your people what you learned here today," Morrison replied. "You tell them that humans do not start wars, but we know how to finish them. You tell them that the age of conquest is over, and the age of cooperation has begun." The screen showed the 5 alien warriors being escorted back to their boarding craft by human soldiers. They were not prisoners anymore. They were messengers. Nicole Adams made one final appearance on screen. "Captain, we have prepared a complete report of today's events for your military leaders. It includes detailed analysis of how your boarding operation failed and recommendations for how your people can avoid similar defeats in the future." Vextar was stunned. "You are giving us military advice?" "We are giving you a choice," Morrison said. "Learn from this experience and choose peace, or ignore it and face the consequences. The decision belongs to your people. As the communication ended, Vexstar sat alone on his bridge, staring at the human ships around him. His crew was fully awake now, but they moved quietly and carefully. They had never been defeated before, and they did not know how to process what had happened. 3 hours later, the Crimson Talon was repaired and ready to leave. The human ships moved aside to create a clear path home. As Vexstar's ship began to move away, Morrison's voice came over the communication system one last time. "Captain, remember this day. Remember that humans offered you peace before they offered you war. Whatever happens next, the choice was yours to make." The Crimson Talon jumped faster than light speed and disappeared into the darkness of space. Behind them, the human ships resumed their patrol, watching and waiting for the Confederacy's response. On the bridge of the Defender, Morrison looked out at the stars and smiled. The message was sent. The galaxy would never be the same. "Think. They will choose peace?" Rodriguez asked. Morrison shrugged. "Some will. Others will see this as a challenge. But either way, they will know that humans are here, and we are ready for whatever comes next." Amy Chun looked up from her computer. "Sir, we are receiving messages from Altarian and Centauri ships. They want to know if the rumors are true. Did we really defeat a Zephyrian boarding party without firing a shot?" Morrison smiled. "Tell them yes. And tell them that if they want to learn how we did it, we are ready to teach them." The age of human expansion into the galaxy had begun. Not through conquest, but through the oldest human tradition of all, helping the weak stand up to the strong. And in the darkness of space, dozens of